Bonjour, bonjour chers amis. Je suis très heureux de vous accueillir pour cette troisième séance des dialogues virtuels de fans et je vous remercie pour votre participation. I want to thank you for joining the fan virtual conversations. Nous sommes déjà 35 et je pense que nous serons entre 70 et 80, donc merci de votre présence. Je suis Henri Zuber, le vice-président pour les finances du Conseil international des archives. Et avant de commencer, je voudrais vous rappeler que notre organisation travaille dans un contexte global, compliqué. Nous venons de faire face depuis 2 ans à une terrible pandémie et nous sommes parvenus à maintenir notre activité et à lui donner presque une nouvelle signification vis-à-vis de nos gouvernements et de nos usagers. Nous avons aussi un contexte international de guerre difficile, avec des situations au Tigré et en Ukraine, et c'est un sujet par rapport auquel le Conseil international des archives est particulièrement sensible. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that English, French, and Spanish interpretation is available. Just click on the interpretation button in the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screens. Nous vous encourageons aussi à poser vos questions dans la boîte Q&A. Et nos intervenants s'efforceront de répondre à autant de questions qu'ils le peuvent à l'issue de leur présentation. I want to insist on this. Do use the Q&A, the Zoom Q&A function, and not the chat for your questions to the panelists. However, if you experience any technical issues, you should let us know more through the Zoom chat. Notre premier dialogue de ce jour est intitulé la gestion résiliente des archives et des documents d'activité. Elle commencera dans un moment et elle sera présidée par la directrice de l'accès aux documents publics et des services gouvernementaux, Lucy Fletcher, au National Archives du Royaume-Uni, que nous remercions, nous remercions de National Archives de rendre ces 3 journées possibles de dialogue virtuel. Et je voudrais vraiment remercier tout le personnel de The National Archives qui est impliqué dans la réussite de cette rencontre. Et dans 4 heures, à 12h30 British Standard Time, nous aurons une deuxième conversation en français qui permettra de présenter l'approche collaborative en vue du renouvellement du système archivistique national par la prise en compte de l'archivage électronique. L'exemple français, donc, sera une présentation qui fera le point sur ce que nous appelons le programme Vitam en France. Le premier dialogue durera environ 90 minutes et les questions auront lieu selon ce que vous indiquera Madame Fletcher. Et le deuxième dialogue aura lieu donc à 12h30 BST et durera environ 2 heures. Et il y aura bien sûr des questions à la fin. Merci encore à TNA pour la réussite de ces dialogues. À l'issue de la séance de nos collègues français, des remarques de conclusion seront faites par le président de l'ICA, David Fricker. Je vous remercie beaucoup de votre attention et de votre participation et je passe la parole à Lucy Fletcher. Lucy, the floor is yours.
Merci, Henri. Bonjour à tous. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are today. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the final day of our Fan Virtual Conversations 2022 and to chair this opening session. As Henri said, my name is Lucy Fletcher and I am Director for Public Records Access and Government Services here at the UK National Archives. And I'm honoured to have been asked to chair this session this morning. These conversations are delivered in collaboration with the International Council on Archives and the Forum of National Archivists. And over the course of the event, colleagues from 19 countries, 5 continents, and close to 30 organisations have been sharing their experiences and expertise. And we are also delighted that more than 100 people have attended these sessions so far, and we thank every one of you for taking the time to join us. And on behalf of the ICA, FAN, and the UK National Archives, I would like to express how grateful we are that we are able to come together in this way. It is greatly encouraging to discuss and explore the crucial role that archives continue to play in empowering our global profession, especially in a world affected by a global pandemic. And I would also like to second the sentiments of Jeff James, our president of FAN, who reiterated our support and solidarity, along with others, to the people of Ukraine at this challenging time. So in this first session, as Henri said earlier, the name of the first session is Resilient Records and Archives Management. And you will hear from our colleagues from the National Archives of Japan and of Poland on the transformative steps they have taken to empower archive professionals and their approaches to evolving information and records management processes. So with agreement from our panelists today, the session will go as follows. I have the privilege of first introducing our distinguished speakers, who will then give a brief presentation followed by a short question and answer session. When both of our speakers have finished presenting, we will take and answer questions from you, our wonderful audience. And you are all, of course, invited to put questions to me and to our panelists throughout the duration of the session. And just as Henri has asked you to do, I also ask that you post them in the Zoom Q&A at the bottom of your screens, which you can select there. So now on to the session. I am delighted to welcome our first panelist, Mr. Masakazu Nakada, Senior Vice President of the National Archives of Japan. He joined the Management and Coordination Agency, which is currently the Cabinet Office, in 1987 and became the Councillor for International Affairs for the Office of the Director General for Policies on Cohesive Society in 2008. In 2009, he became Councillor for the Office of Promoting Preservation and Use of Public Records and Archives in the Minister's Secretariat, Cabinet Office. In 2018, he became Vice President for Administration at the National Archives of Japan. And in 2019, he became Senior Vice President of the National Archives of Japan. He also has a BA in law from the University of Tokyo. So it's my great pleasure to hand over now to Mr. Nakada. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Hello, everyone. My name is Nakada, and I'm from the, as introduced, I'm from the National Archives of Japan. Here, I call it in short, the NAJ. I'm honored to have this opportunity to present at the ICA FAN virtual conversations. I'd like to start by expressing my sincere hope for peace of international society and my deep respect and gratitude for everyone working with COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic is, as you know, is having a major impact on archive activities throughout the world. And at NAJ, just like other member institutions of ICA, we have taken various measures to lower the risk to our users, as well as to ensure user convenience by implementing new approaches such as online operations and keep exploring new ways of operating the archives. While responding to the recent challenges, NAJ has also initiated new endeavors in the last several years before the pandemic. And in this report, I will discuss our initiatives to develop Japan's next generation of archival professionals with a focus on the Archivist certification program began in 2020. And I'd like to begin by providing an overview of NAJ. NAJ was founded in 1971. The mission of NAJ is to preserve and manage Japan's important historical public records so that they are widely available for access by the general public. NAJ is located in the Kitanomaru Park in north of the Imperial Palace in central Tokyo. And in addition to this main office, there is also the Tsukuba Annex established in 1998 in the city of Tsukuba, Ibaraki Prefecture, located approximately 70 kilometers northeast of Tokyo. NAJ celebrated its 50th anniversary on July 1st, 2021. For this occasion, we made a new slogan, Archives, Evidence from the Past, Beacon for the Future. This slogan refers to the fact that the public records and archives are essential to assessing the significance of and issues of past. Sorry. Unfortunately, in Japan, archives are not necessarily well known among the public, so we boiled the message, the slogan, down to a simple phrase to encourage people to have more interest in NAJ. Additionally, NAJ is scheduled to open a new facility next to the National Diet Building in 2028. NAJ will consist of 3 facilities, the new main building, the Kitanomaru office, and the Tsukuba Annex, each with its own defined function and role. The Kitanomaru office is planned to become a training center where the archivists, as well as public servants who create and manage public records, are trained. For this reason, among others, NAJ aims to focus even more on development of personnel with a high level of expertise in records and archives management as a matter of high priority. Next, history of development of archival professionals in Japan. Next, I will briefly discuss the history of development of archival professionals in Japan with a special reference to ICA. Over 3 decades ago, in 1986, Mr. Michael Roper, then at that time, Deputy Keeper of Public Records of the United Kingdom and Secretary for Standardization at the ICA, visited Japan as a mission of the ICA with the aim of improving global standards for the establishment of archival organizations and to build a cooperative relationship with relevant personnel in Japan. Mr. Roper toured NAJ and and other archival institutions in Japan and interacted with their staff. Upon this return, he compiled a report with recommendations entitled Japan Japan Archival Development Report of a Mission. This report made 12 recommendations from A to L. At least we selected 3 of them, one of which states the need for registration at the B, and 2 of which emphasize the particular importance of development of archival professionals, I and K, especially that an archival training course be established in Japan. Looking at the subsequent development from the perspective of the report, B, that legislation that 1987 Public Archives Act was enacted. The law established that the state and local public entities shall have the responsibility of taking appropriate measures with regard to preservation and the use of public records and archives that are important as historical materials. The enactment of this law resulted in the expansion of public archives and those facilities. At present, there are 100 public archives nationwide, 16 of which are being designated as national archive institutions. They include the NAJ and the diplomatic archives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan and the Imperial Household Archives, and other National University Archives and the Bank of Japan Archives. The remaining public archives are established by those of local public bodies, prefectures, and municipalities. Regarding I, the training course, and I and K, training course, there was no adequate training system at that time in place for archival professionals in Japan in 1987. And this made it clear that even if the member of the public archive increased, the securing competent professionals was not an easy task. This stimulated vigorous discussion among the interested institutions, including NAJ, on how to improve the training system for archivists in Japan. In line with this the National Institute of Japanese Literature, a pioneer in Japan in archivist training, who had initiated a course back in 1953, expanded the scope of its training from the handling of early modern historical materials to contemporary archives management and introduced archival theories from overseas. NAJ also launched a training course in December 1988 for public records management personnel and public archive staff on both national and local level. And in 1998, a new course was launched with the aim of achieving more advanced in-service professional training course for personnel who are working at public archives. In addition to the above, training courses have been also established in higher education 2008. Gakushin University introduced Japan's first master's and doctoral programs in archival science in 2008. In this way, the training of archivists in Japan has been pushed forward by the efforts of those involved in the process over the years. But Michael Roper's recommendations of that all appropriate formal measures necessary to recognize the status of the archivist be taken had not yet been fully achieved, and establishing archivists as a professional occupation remained a major issue facing Japan's archival community until the 2020. And next, the beginning of archivist certification. It was in enactment of Public Records and Archives Management Act, in short, PRAMA, in 2011 that marked the turning point for the archivist profession in Japan. This law established standardized rules for records and archives management across the entire national ministries and agencies, with legislation for processes from record creation to preservation and access. When this law was passed, the Diet also attached the following supplementary resolutions. The House of Representatives specifies a systematic training to raise awareness and improve the skills of staff regarding records and archive management, as well as to develop staff members along the line. Would be performed. While the House of Councillors specified a study regarding the establishment of a professional credential system for archivists would be conducted. These supplementary resolutions are not legally binding, but they are an expression of the importance that the legislature placed on development of archival professionals. The establishment of this law lays the level of attention on the training of archivists as professionals who are responsible for management of public records and archives. Before PRAMA, there was a long period in which the archivist, as a specific professional with clearly defined duties, did not formally exist. Generally speaking, though the situation is now changing, but at this time, unlike the United States and Europe, most hiring system in Japan society is focused on employing newly graduated individuals without specifying their work duties or work location. Among especially traditional organizations like ministries and agencies. Instead, employees are expected to experience many different types of jobs within the organization to increase their overall competencies based on the practice of lifetime employment. In Japan, most archival institutions are public entities, and in many cases, it will be public sector employees hired as generalists by the national government bodies or local public bodies, and who are transferred to work at public archives from other divisions of those bodies. The style of personal development by having them work in a variety of different types of jobs is perhaps a distinctive feature of Japanese employment practices. And it has mostly functioned efficiently in Japan society. However, it cannot be denied that this has the downside of making it unclear what the specific duties of professionals like archivists would be. As such, in Japan, where human resources are not well recognized in their expertise, and social awareness of archivists has been low, unfortunately. One reason could be that the archivist's professional duties were unclear, lacking a common understanding of what they should be. Having identified this problem as a preliminary step towards considering a certification framework for archivists, NAJ began creating the standard of tasks and competencies for archivists. To clarify the professional duties of an archivist and the knowledge and skills needed for those duties. Opinions were sought from experts and relevant organizations in Japan, and the standard was established in December 2018. I made a presentation on the standard at the ICA Adelaide conference in 2019, and it was posted to NAJ's website in English. So please refer there for more information. This shows the standard of tasks and the matrix of competencies for archivists. And about tasks, four categories, big four categories. And next, aims and framework of archivist certification. After the standard was finalized, then NAJ set out to create a certification framework based on the document. And the Archivist Certification Preparatory Committee was established in that goal in 2019. In the process of considering a certification framework, the NAJ also conducted a survey of archivist training and certification system in Japan and around the world. We looked at the archivist training and certification system in the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Australia, South Korea, and China. The result of this survey being used as a reference among other. The preparatory committee formulated the recommendation entitled The Basic Approach to Archivist Certification System to serve as a framework for a certification scheme. In that document, the aim of archivist certification was defined as establishing a specialized professional occupation that is based on the standard of tasks and competencies for archivists. That supports the proper management of public records and archives as intellectual resources shared by the people, and ensures such records and archives will be preserved and usable for perpetuity. In addition to that, the certification was also aimed at guaranteeing trustworthiness and the expertise of that occupation. Well, it was determined that the archivist certifications are issued by professional organizations in many countries. In Japan, it was decided that the president of NAJ would issue such certifications. The main reason is because in Japan, similar certifications like librarian and curator are national certifications defined in law. And organizations involved in archival operations have requested for many years certification with a similar status. Thus, NAJ's archivist certification became a public certification based on the direction of the Cabinet Office. Cabinet Office head is the Prime Minister and has just jurisdiction over public records and archives management. Next, I will discuss the basic structure of the framework of the certification scheme. As this shows, building of the preparatory committee's report, NAJ announced specifics and certification procedures in 2020. An archivist certification committee was established consisting of 7 experts in archival science, law, public archives, and other related fields. This committee examined certification, renewals, and revocation in addition to providing recommendations of the archivist certification system. Individuals who are recognized as having sufficient expertise receive the title archivists certified by the National Archives of Japan. And following 3 requirements must be met in order to become an NAJ certified archivist. The first requirement is lead one, knowledge and skills. To meet this requirement, archivists are required to have taken courses in archival studies for a master's degree at the graduate school or have completed comparable training at the corresponding institution. The standard for courses for a master's degree at the graduate school is a total of 12 credits, while the standard for training at the corresponding institution is a total of 135 hours. In 2020, the certification was launched with 3 ways of meeting these criteria: completing the master's degree course at the aforementioned Gakushuin University Graduate School, or completing the training course at NAJ or the National Institute of Japanese Literature at this point. The second requirement is working experience at the archives or related organizations. This requirement states that the applicants must have at least 3 years of experience working in a position with duties and that include appraisal and selection, collection management, public access, outreach and communication, and other duties as defined in the standard. The key point is whether the individual is capable of independently executing their professional duties as an archivist based on their own self-directed judgment. The third requirement is capability in research and study. This requirement is defined as the ability to gather information on the latest trends or to conduct specialized research into matters required to execute one's professional duties, and to reflect that information is one's work. In one's work. Specifically, this requires completing a master's degree or equivalent in any field, as well as at least 1 published research product. That includes a paper, research notes, research report, descriptive notes, or on archival materials, catalog, etc. Additionally, since there are limited opportunities for the systematic training or education needed to acquire the knowledge and skills for the first requirement, it is possible to receive certification if both the working experience and the research and study requirement exceeded satisfying point, and the individual is recognized to have equivalent ability to what is needed for knowledge and skills. The first step in the archivist certification process is for the applicant to submit application document to the submit applications. And based on the documentation submitted by the applicant, the committee members determine whether applicants have the expertise sufficient to be certified. There is no written exam or interviews, but only a review of submitted documentation. Committee members report their review results to the president of the NAJ, and the president issues certification based on those results. This certification will be valid for 5 years and required to be renewed in order to confirm that those who have been certified are keeping the knowledge and skills up to date in the changing environment, such as social norms and digital technology. Certificate results in the first stage. In 2020, the first year of this program, applications were received from 248 individuals, far exceeding our initial estimates that demonstrated the long-standing need for public certification. After strict review by the members of the Archives Certification Committee, 190 individuals were certified as of January 1st, 2021, and 57 certified out of 81 applicants in second year, 2022. The graphs on the slide show the result of 2020 and 2021 combined. Of the 247 certified individuals, approximately 56% worked at public archives, national archives or local prefecture, local archives. The average age of those receiving certification was about 48.3 years old, ranging from 27 to 72. A wide variety of individuals from a variety of organizations and institutions throughout Japan received certification. Commenting on the first year's result, Chair of the Archivist Certification Committee, Professor Emeritus Toshihiko Takano of Gakushin University remarked, the certified archivist ranged, to use an analogy, from doctors at national general hospitals in major cities leading the medical community in the country, to doctors at the clinics in sparsely populated areas, working earnestly to treat patients. There was various reaction to the establishment of this archivist certification. According to a questionnaire survey conducted in spring 2021 among around 100 organizations comprising the annual meeting of the directors of public archives in Japan, approximately 70% felt that they had benefited from the introduction of this certification system. Additionally, higher education has launched initiatives focused on archivist education. In 2021, graduate level courses and enabled students to study archives in a systematic way were introduced at 2 more national universities. For 2022 and beyond, more graduate schools have begun considering a setup course and archivist training. It's gradually expanding to institutions of higher education throughout Japan. This shows that the establishment of local government archives and other archives in Japan. Conclusion. This has been an overview of the archivist certification initiative implemented by NAJ. Assuming it to be the ideal that there will be multiple certified archives in every prefecture in the future. Now, at that point, that the blank prefecture as several prefectures blank. NAJ is targeting to see there will be 400 NAJ certified archivists by 2026. In light of the fact that the aim of the archivist certification is to establish expertise and improve the treatment of archivists, NAJ will work to communicate the importance of records and archives management, as well as the activities of archivists engaged in such management. Additionally, NAJ will work to encourage institutions of higher education to provide the knowledge and skills required for the certification, as well as the comparative institutions to enable the continuation of archivist education by setting up training courses. Finally, we believe that the proper goal of these initiatives should be to make a firmer basis of archives, to establish the presence of the archival profession in society, and to enable archivists to contribute to the public at large through serving as a bridge between records and people. Thank you. I'll hand over to the chair, Lucy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nakada. Thank you for taking us through the history of the development of the archival profession in your country, and also sharing your insights from your work on recruitment and certification of this really important profession. So thank you very much. I wonder if we do have a couple of questions actually talking about the certification aspect of the profession that you've talked to us about. If I can ask you, Mr. Nakada, do you see any downsides of certification? And would you agree that the certification could make it difficult to recruit people with IT or business or legal backgrounds? And our questioner is saying that we desperately need them for managing modern digital records. So what do you see, if anything, is the downside of certification? Thank you.
In Japanese, sorry. 日本、とりあえず今のところデメリットがあるというふうには考えておりまして、もともとそのアーキビストとして活躍している人の中には、認証まだ取られてない方もおられます。で、これからどんどん認証を取っていただきたいと思いますけれども、このシステム導入したことによってですね、採用が困難になるということは今のところは想定はしておりません。ただいずれにしてもですね、こういった知識を持った方々をですね、しっかりとこういうふうに認証させていただいてですね、その、専門性をアーキビストとしての専門性を社会の中でこう認知していただいてですね、活躍する素地を作るというのが大きな目標でございます。
Thank you very much. That's very clear. We have another question about the certification program, and what are the reactions of archivists themselves towards this program? And you've alluded to it a bit there, Mr. Nakada, but do you think the certification program helps to elevate the awareness of archivists in society? And finally, do you think there are any gaps in this certification program that you hope to improve on? Thank you.
けれども、長くここを期待していた方々がおられる中でですね、非常にたくさん我々の想定よりも大きくご応募いただいたっていうのは、やはりこれに対する期待がありますし、実際になった方々もですね、自分の所属する機関の長であったり、あるいはその都道府県で言えばそういう知事とかそういう方々にですね、取った方々が表敬をしてですね、そういった活動の中でアーキビストの認証アーキビストのですね、 こう専門性みたいなことをこう改めて認めていただいたことを喜んでいらっしゃるっていうふうな声を聞いております。それでこれを通じましてですね、やはり社会の中でこのアーキビストっていう活動が、先ほど申し上げました日本の中では必ずしもこう認知度がですね、西洋各国に比べて少ないわけですけれども、やはりこう認知をどんどん広げていくことにつながっていくというふうに思っております。
Thank you very much. That covered a lot of ground. So we also have a question about, you were talking about if we have 400 certified archivists by 2026, do you think, how many posts will be available for them? Will that fill the demand, do you think, in that time frame?
今すでにですね、アーキビストとして活躍している方々、本来こういう専門性を持って働いている方々がですね、それ400を超える数がいることはいますんでですね、そういった今あるいは将来働くような方々がですね、この資格を取っていただければですね、日本全体として公文書管理、アーキビストとしての活動がしていくのかなというふうに思っておりますし、もちろんそれ以外にも民間あるいは逆に類縁である美術館であったり博物館であったり図書館であったり、そういったところでもですね、このアーカイビスト、認証アーキビストの方々が活躍されることも想定をしております。
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we have one final question before I think we'll move on. Perhaps controversial question potentially. We have a question saying most of your certified archivists are in the age range of 40 to 50 years old, so they're already seasoned professionals. And so where is the balance? Should perhaps the focus be on younger professionals? And I think the questioner might be alluding to bringing in people at the beginning of their careers rather than perhaps mid to late way through. And if you could comment on that, if you could, thank you.
先ほど一番お若い方で27歳ということであったんですけれども、やはりこれだけの専門性とその実務経験を持った方からするとですね、今ぐらいの年齢になっているんですけれども、今認証委員会の方でもですね、もう少し裾野を広げるようなご議論をしていただいてましてですね、それが認証アーキビストなのか、あるいはそれに準ずる資格なのかっていうご議論はあるんですけれども、フォーカスとしてはそういった若い方々がですね、こういう世界に入っていくようなですね、仕組みを考えたいと思いますし、そういった意味でも高等教育機関にですね、働きかけをしていきたいというふうには思っております。
Oh, thank you very much. That's good to hear. Wonderful. Right. Well, with your permission, Mr. Nakada, I will move on to our next panelist. But colleagues online who are listening to this, do remember throughout the session, you can post your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will open the Q&A session back up to include Mr. Nakada at the end of the session. So moving on, I am delighted to welcome our second panelist, Mr. Pavel Pietrik, General Director of the Polish State Archives. Mr. Pietrik is a Polish historian and archivist, General Director of the Polish State Archives since 2019. For over 20 years, he has been professionally involved in archival activities. During this time, he held managerial positions in the State Archive in Lodz, the State Archives Head Office, and the Ministry of Culture and National Heritage. He is chairman of the Polish Committee of the UNESCO Memory of the World Programme and editor-in-chief of their archival periodical Archeon, published continuously since 1926. Mr. Pietrik is also an active participant in the works and initiatives of international archival bodies, for example, the European Archives Group and the ICA. He is also the initiator and executor of programs of cooperation with Polish centers in exile and safeguarding of Polish archival heritage abroad, for example, in the United States of America, Great Britain, and Australia. He is the author of numerous studies, including books on archival science and recent Polish history. So it's my absolute pleasure to pass you over to Pavel now. Thank you very much, Pavel.
Okay, thank you, Lucy, for the introduction. I will share my screen. Okay, can you see the presentation now? Okay, I hope so. Okay, so before I start my presentation, I am also would like to say a few words about what happened now, because the times that we are living in seems to be rather dark. So the war is on our border, and in the face of the war, a real one and a terrible one, we shouldn't be we shouldn't be only a silent witness, and we are not. So I'm very proud of the whole international community of archivists for saying clear and saying loud that we are against it, that we are not cooperate with the in any fields, and we are not sharing our experience and our knowledge with the countries responsible for murdering people and for destroying cultural heritage of other countries. So we are solidarity with Ukraine. Okay, my speech today, it will be about the electronic documents archive system. So let me begin now. If we were to ask a random person what their archives are associated with, we would certainly hear about the place where old papers are kept covered with centuries of dust. Such an image of archives has been used in Polish society so far, and probably not only in Polish society. However, we as an archivist and as archives, as an institution, are dynamically changing, implementing modern IT solutions that enable keeping records and processing of stored archival materials in electronic form, that enable keeping records, which allows them to be made available on the internet. Additionally, archives have begun to collect archival materials in electronic form, which are natural-born electronic documents. Collecting such archival materials results from the development and the dissemination of new technologies as well as the progressive computerization of various spheres of society lives. The beginnings of the digitalization of public administration in Poland date back to 2005, when the Polish Parliament adopted an act on computerization of entities performing public tasks. This legal act enabled the development of electronic services provided by IT systems operating in public administration. A number of other legal acts were aimed at, in particular, the Act on the National Archival Resources and Archives, which is the basic act regulating the activity of archives in Poland. Electronic documents are already widely used, and those that will be considered materials of historical value should be transferred to the state archives, where they will be secured and will be permanently stored. All this makes it necessary to create an IT system that enables convenient and effective acquisition of archival materials in electronic form, as well as their subsequent storage, protection, and sharing. And this role is played by the Electronic Documents Archive system, which has been made available to the entire network of state archives in Poland. And each state archives has an account in the system and does take over archival materials from institutions located in its area. The Electronic Documents Archive system is a universal model that describes the method of taking over archives in countries where public administration units have a registry system based on a record of files. Its main feature is the collection of documents into case files. I mean, grouping of documents presenting the course and manner of performing a given issue. The Electronic Documents Archive system represents a completely different approach to the issue of securing archival materials. Based on the OAIS standard, it adjusts the functionalities responsible for taking over and sharing archival materials to the legal conditions and the specified of entities submitting such documentation to state archives. We can say that such a solution is very flexible and may allow for adoption to the specificity and adopted legal and organizational solutions existing in different countries. The experience gained during the project implementation can be, in my opinion, successfully applied and implemented in other countries, especially in those that, like Poland, have similar legal solutions in the field of securing the national archival resources. The provisions of law in force in Poland regulated the method of computerization of public administration and also define the requirements to be met by the IT systems functioning in it. Based on these principles, all electronic records management systems operating in public administration have functionalities that enable the support of the office system based on a uniform list of files and the transfer of archival materials to state archive in the Archival Package standard. I will be talking about this standard later on my presentation. This solution makes it possible to take over archival materials regardless of the type, format, and method of producing electronic documentation. So what are the advantages of the system? So first of all, improving the quality and efficiency of the work of the state archives, and as well the entities providing archival materials in the electronic form. Establishment of this system applies in particular to employees of the state archives and entities transferring archival materials to state archives. Among the benefits, the beneficiaries users are, one can mention in particular the automation of submitting and verifying the application and archival materials in the form of an archival package directly to the system. Second, increasing the transparency of the operation of public entities. As a result of the project implementation, thanks to the standardization of handling documentation in an entities performing public tasks, the quality of data in the files of collected cases in electronic form will improve. In particular, the quality and completeness of the documentation, their description, and the quality of metadata relating to the files collected in electronic form, and thus greater transparency in the operation of public entities. Third, we can say increasing the share of electronic documentation in communication with public entities. The electronic documents archive system is a practical closure of state computerization system, also where it is not and will not be appropriate to create systems and services dedicated to dealing with specific matters. Wherever it is possible to conduct electronic correspondence based on electronic documents collected and proceed in general document management system. And finally, the development of a modern society and human resources adapted to the requirements of a knowledge-based economy. We can say it because the system common to all state archives allows the integration of archival information from various sources, especially from the electronic records management systems used in public administration, from various dedicated systems, public registers or websites, as well as resources composed of unstructured documentation from producers of non-state archival resources. Okay, now the main reasons for implementing the system. So it is obvious, I think, providing institutions with the possibility of transferring archival materials in the electronic form. Of course, providing the state archives with a tool allowing for the seizure, protection, storage, and sharing of archival materials in electronic form. And finally, providing interested citizens and various institutions with the possibility of access to stored archival materials in electronic form. As I said before, the system is dedicated to the entire network of state archives, as well as the public administration. The system has been implemented for the state archives, for the public administration units throughout Poland. So it allows for taking over of archival materials from approximately 10,000 public administration units located throughout the country, supervised by individual state archives. On the map, you can see how the network of state archives in Poland looks like. So a short explanation of it. It is a free central archive based on in Warsaw, and 30 regional archives. All are supervised by the general director of the state archives, who is reporting to the Ministry of Culture and the National Heritage. Okay, so now a few words about the project, about the Electronic Documents Archive project. The project was carried out from the July 2018 to June 2020. And the main partners of the General Directorate of the State Archives, who was responsible for the whole project, was only 3 state archives in Bydgoszcz, in Toruń, and the National Digital Archive. The total cost of the project was approximately 1.7 million euro. It was co-financed by European funds, European Regional Development Fund, operational program Digital Poland, Priority 2, e-administration and open government. The project was implemented in the accordance with the Prince 2 methodology. And what is important, apart from the state archives, external companies were selected for the implementation of individual products of the project. I mean, businesses analysis, technical design, graphic design, system application with documentation, and so on and so on. Selected employees of state archives and employees of other entities interested in the project were also involved. I can say that in total over 100 people were involved in the implementation of the project. And of course, at each stage of the project implementation, the manufactured products were verified with the future users. How the architecture of the systems looks like. In the presentation layer, accessible via web browser, the system has been divided into 4 portals intended for specific groups of users. So we have a public portal intended for everyone interested in the system and archival materials in electronic form. We have the units website, intended, of course, for the institutions and people who provide archival materials. The most important for us, Archivist Portal, intended, of course, for employees of state archives supporting the process of collecting and sharing archival materials. And finally, Administrator Portal, intended for administrators of the electronic documents archive system, a portal dedicated to the management of the whole system. And in addition to the production environment, the test and training environment of the system has been made available for training purposes, and it consists of an e-learning platform and a fully functional electronic documents archive system in test version. And now, quickly, one by one, the admin portal, it enables administration of the entire system. I mean, configuration, management of users and accounts, of institutions providing archival materials, and the state archives. Each state archive has a local administrator who is responsible for the correct operation of the system in that specific archive. And of course, at the central level, a global administrator is responsible for the correct operation of the whole system. The Archivist Portal, it enables state archives to take over and manage archival materials in electronic form via internet. The Unit Portal. The Unit website is intended for institutions and individuals who provide archival materials in electronic form. This the access to the portal is made via a trusted profile. And what is important, again, if the institution's electronic records management system has been integrated with the electronic documents archive system, the users does not need to log into the Units portal. All activities related to the transfer of archival materials can be performed directly in its electronic documentation management system. That's very convenient. And the public portal. The public portal is open to anyone interested. It contains basic information about the project and the system underway, as well as issues, any issues related to the electronic document and the collection of archival materials in electronic form. The portal also offers additional tools to verify the correctness of the arrangement of archival materials and to submit an application for sending up accounts in the system. The portal is integrated with the portal Szukaj w archiwach gov.pl. It's the search the archive portal. So the portal where archival materials collected not only in this system but in the archives as well, are published. And e-learning platform. E-learning platform, the main goal is to familiarize users with general knowledge about the functionalities they use and to prepare them for the use of the system. The training platform was implemented in the e-learning concept and is based on prepared training materials that cover all the functionalities of the system. For each portal available on the training environment, a separate space with its own set of the training materials is dedicated. So like textbooks, exercises, and things like that. Now a few information about the electronic documents archive system in the information architecture of state archives. So the system functions as an important element of the information architecture of the state archives. It has been integrated with other systems operating in our network of state archives. So first of all, with the integrated archive information system, in the scope of enabling the registration and processing of archival materials collected in the electronic documents archive system. And that's one which I mentioned before. So the Search the Archive portal, on which we are published all archival materials in digital form. You can see on the picture here how it functions. Okay, and now that's the one for the insiders only. So if anyone is interested in that specific picture, the technical module, and would like to know how the system was built, please contact us and we will share our knowledge for sure. Here only for as short as it is possible about what you can see at this picture. So as I said before, the system is in the presentation layer has been divided into 4 portals enabling the services of specific groups of users. You can see it here. Portal access takes place through the access layer where authorization and authentication of users take place. The business's logic layer supports microservices operating in the system, the authentication and authorization, and the business process engine responsible for the operation of the process related to taking over and sharing of archival materials. In the data layer, there are repositories responsible for storing data. All data collected in the system are backed up to LTO types, which are stored in a different location, of course, for security reason. All portals have been implemented based on the Liferay tool. The application has a modular structure, that's obvious, in which each module is responsible for the implementation of strictly defined tasks. System users use businesses functionalities through the appropriate portal, which uses individual modules within the scope of its operation. Okay, and some more words about the technological use. So the solution in the form of a private computing cloud enables the system to be expanded with new access notice, depending, of course, on the needs of constantly developing state archives. The 2 data processing centers located in different parts of the country, data replication is carried out between them. And again, this is to ensure the security of proceed and store the data and to ensure the stability of the entire system. Electronic document files constituting archival materials are saved in 3 places, in both data processing centers and additionally in LTO types, so linear type open, stored in a different location, again, to ensure a high level of security. And tools for monitoring the correct operation of the system enable convenient administration of the entire infrastructure located in various locations, often several hundred kilometers apart. The application has a modular structure, I said it before, in which each module is responsible for the implementation of strictly defined tasks. User use businesses functionalities, and the system allows to perform configuration and programming activities also through additional components with their own programming interfaces. Sources from which archival materials may come to the system. So first of all, and the main source are IT systems operating in public administrations, and electronic records management systems mostly. Collect electronic documents grouped into cases or into files. And maybe this is the moment to talk some more about the archival package standard, which I mentioned at the beginning on my presentation. It is built from cases, which is a standard that allows for the transfer of various documentation form units performing various tasks. Archival package containing a part from the electronic documents, also files with metadata describing them. Maybe it will be you will see it better on the next slide. You can see how the archival package is built. So archival materials are transferred to the electronic documents archive system in the structure of an archival package, which should be, and this is very important, should be generated by the IT systems operating in public administrations. So this is not the role of the electronic document archive system to build this archival package. This is the role of the whole electronic records management systems using by the public entities. Archival package is a file in tar format containing 3 folders. Folder of documents, and this folder cannot be empty and must contain at least 1 file. And this is the folder contains documents that are to be transferred to state archives. Then folder with metadata. And what is important, for each document in the documents folder, there must be 1 file containing metadata. And finally, the third one, the folder cases. So each document contained in an archival package must belong at least to 1 cases. I'm not sure if it's clear enough, but that's how it looks like, and it's very much connected with our system, which is based on a specific criteria, classes that are specified in a uniform list of files. So everything is connected. Okay, so how the process of submitting an archival package looks like, you can see it on this picture step by step. So first, preparation of an application for the transfer of archival materials, then verification this application, then preparation of an archival package, again by the IT system using by the public administrations units, then delivered an archival package, verification this archival package in the archive, and at the end, acquisition of archival materials. How look the access to the archival materials? So we can do it on two ways. There are two types of the access. So first, the publicity on the websites, search the archive, and it's of course free of charge, and it is for everyone who is interested in. And the second way is upon request. So if the documentation should not be public available due to the protection of personal data, copywriting, or other protected matters. And for that purpose, of this form of sharing, the system has appropriate functionalities enabling the implementation of this process. And again, it is shows here. So preparation of the application, then the decision making, searching for archival materials. This is the process made by the archivist in the archive. And then, of course, providing a link to download the documentation. And the validity of the link is determined, of course, by the state archives, and providing access to the archival materials. That's the short look about the archival materials in the whole system of the electronic documents archive system. I will be not talk about this. You can see it later, because this is all again the archival package standard. So the quick look about the electronic documents archive system in the information architecture of Poland. I can say that this system is a part of the implemented project, is one of the essential components of the state's IT architecture. The system is integrated with the national node, the trusted profile. And in terms of confirmation, the user's identity and in terms of enabling signing with the use of trusted profile. In addition, the system is integrated also with REGON system. This is the National Official Register of National Economy Entities in the field of confirming data of existing institutions. And it is integrated with the TERIT system, which is a system of National Official Register of the Territorial Division of the country, maintained by the Central Statistical Office. And the services provided by the states, you can see here, and among them, the archival electronic documents archive system. Okay, so plan and challenges, because that's not the end. So of course, maintenance and further development of the system. Of course, adopting the system to the current needs of state archives and changes resulting from legal provisions or technical changes. Expansion of digital repositories, expansion of the computing cloud of state archives. Of course, integration the system with other electronic management system in state archives and in public administrations units. And of course, developing of the technology enabling the sharing of archival materials, regardless of data format in which they are stored, and the programming platform used. That's almost the end of my presentation. Now, some pleasant words for me, because the electronic documents archive system participated in 2021 in the European Public Sector Award competition, organized every 2 years by the European Institute of Public Administration in Maastricht. And the main theme of this year's EPSA was building a better Europe for citizens. And they received more than 120 applications, so quite big numbers, and from which the organizers selected 18 best practices, presented to the jury for the further evaluation. And I can say that our project was also in this short list, and in the digital administration category, our project was among the top 7 projects assessed. So that was very, very nice, and it is very nice for us. Okay, and summary. I will not talk about the summary because I have a little surprise for everyone. 2 minute film about the system, so you can see everything what I'm talking about for last 30 minutes in this film. So I will not talk about the summary. So thank you very much for your attention. You can use this QR code to go to the project website. So everyone welcome. And now I end this presentation, and please stay tuned with this short film. It's only 2 minutes, and it say everything that I'm saying about. So thank you again. And
the state archives are institutions of remembrance that store priceless historical sources concerning the Polish state and society. More and more institutions are starting to create archival materials in digital form. Those shall be successively handed to the state archives and stored along with traditional materials. One of the consequences of the digitization of documents was the necessity to create the Electronic Documents Archive System, a system that will allow to store and secure archival materials in digital form for future generations. The ADE is another step in the digitization of our country. It allows capturing archival materials in digital form from different sources, including the electronic document management system used by public administration institutions. The ADE is a central system for all the state archives that operate in Poland. An electronic document preserves all manifestations of economic, political, cultural, and social life, and the ADE system stores it for future generations. Each person interested in obtaining the information contained in the electronic documents gathered in the ADE system can access it via a browser. The system is divided into 4 portals, depending on the needs of the group: the public portal, the individual portal, the Archivist's Portal, the Administrator's Portal. The Electronic Documents Archive System is a simple yet innovative European-scale tool. It will constitute a vital step in the digitization of our country. Due to its implementation, the functioning of the state archives will adapt to the needs of modern society, so basically to the needs of all of us.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all for now.
Thank you so much, Pavel. That was really illuminating presentation, and the video was fantastic. So
yeah,
yes,
we prepared for this competition that I mentioned, so I would like to share it with you too. So
absolutely, and congratulations on the recognition of the system as well. So yes, really, really interesting. Thank you. You will see that we have 1 minute left, unfortunately, and I can see on the chat that this is on the question and answer box. This has generated a lot of questions. I think I'm just going to make time for one question, Pavel, if I may, and then I'll wrap up. But please, keep the questions coming, and we'll make sure that we address these with Mr. Nakada and Mr. Pietrik outside of this session. So just before we wrap up, obviously you've set your electronic document archive system in context for us. Perhaps you could set it in context for us internationally. There's a questioner asking, what do you think are the specific benefits of your system as compared with perhaps others in the international community? Pavel.
It's hard to say, but the system is especially made for handing over electronic documents, only electronic documents, no digitized documents, but only natural born electronic documents. So for us, this is a tool when we can keep it, when we can store it, and we can be sure that we protect it well. So this is the main goal for making this system. So I think it's very important because natural born documents are among us in every moment now. So everything now is made by or using electronic tools. So that's the necessity.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. It's so unfortunate we've come to the end of this session, but thank you all for attending online, and I would especially like to extend my thanks to Mr. Nakada and Mr. Pietrik as well, once more, just for joining us and for sharing your insights and your expertise and experiences with us. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure our colleagues have around the globe. So thank you so much. Just as a gentle reminder then, before I go, the last session of today starts at 12:30 British Summer Time and is called A Collaborative Approach for the Renewal of a National Archival System, the French Example. And it will involve our colleagues from the Archives nationales en France, École nationale des chartes, Ministère de l'Europe et des Affaires étrangères, and the Ministère des Armées. So this final fan session promises to be a fantastic roundtable discussion. Really exciting, more exciting things to come this afternoon in the programme. So it will be delivered in French, so please remember to select the interpretation button at the bottom of your screens should you need to do so. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you all very much for joining us and have a good next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.